All right, let's dive in. Today, we're exploring a really powerful idea that shows up across several Christian sources: the journey from staring down an impossible problem to finding a new sense of power. So, let's get right into it.
You know the feeling. We've all been there. You're facing a problem that just feels like a brick wall. A situation where your own strength, your own logic, it just isn't cutting it. It's a universal feeling, and it's the exact place these sources begin their story.
And boom, right out of the gate, we get to the core belief that drives this whole thing. This quote really sets the stage. It makes a huge claim. Our human limits? They aren't the end of the story. There's another factor at play, what these sources call divine power, that can completely change the equation. Okay, so how does this transformation actually happen? Well, the sources suggest it's not like flipping a switch. It's more of a journey, and it starts with preparation, discipline, and, maybe most importantly, surrender. A devotional from a source called A2.Church gives us a really practical example of this preparation. It talks about Lent, framing it as this 40-day period specifically designed to refocus, to kind of step back from all the noise of daily life and deliberately work on deepening a spiritual commitment. And this right here is key. According to the A2.Church source, it's not just about giving something up for a few weeks. It's about actively going after some very specific goals. Focusing on the cross, making prayer and fasting a priority, looking for personal freedom and guidance, and being more generous. The devotional even gets into the different ways to fast, which it presents as a major tool for focus. And get this, it's not just about food. The options go from a complete fast all the way to a non-food fast, like taking a break from social media or Netflix. The goal, they say, is always the same: cut out distractions to zero in on a spiritual goal. And this whole period of preparation, well, it's the setup for what comes next. So after all that preparation, we get to the pivot point, the one single climactic event that the sources claim changes literally everything. Now listen to the language here: a great earthquake. The source argues this isn't just a random detail. It's a huge physical sign that the very foundations of the world were being shaken by something spiritual. The way these sources frame the resurrection of Jesus, it wasn't some quiet, secret event. It was a massive announcement, a spiritual cataclysm so powerful that creation itself, the earth, had to react. It was a victory so profound that the whole planet trembled. This brings up a really fascinating question that a Catholicus.eu article gets into. Think about it. If Jesus was resurrected with divine power, why would a big rock be an obstacle? You'd think he wouldn't need it moved. But the source suggests there's a much deeper meaning here. And here's the twist. The stone wasn't moved for Jesus' sake. The source is super clear on this. What they call a glorified body, this resurrected supernatural form, it wouldn't be stopped by something as simple as a rock. No, the stone was rolled away to let us in. It was a gesture for humanity, an invitation to come see the proof for ourselves. The angel sitting on the stone? The source explains that as a symbol of heaven's total victory over death. The barrier was taken down so we could see with our own eyes that the impossible had just happened. Okay, so that's an ancient story. How does it apply today? Well, the sources connect this event directly to the real problems people face in their own lives. They draw a straight line from the power that shook the earth then to the power we might need to shake up our own impossible situations now. Faith Life Ministries uses this incredibly direct term, dead situations. And they list things we can all relate to, things that can feel like a total dead end in life. A relationship that's over, a dream that's collapsed, a spiritual life that just feels empty. So what's the solution? Faith Life Ministries points to this verse as the promise. The claim they're making is that the exact same power that was at work in the resurrection is available to bring life back into those dead situations. The argument is that the Spirit mentioned here is the carrier of that same life-giving power, making it personal, not just historical. So when you step back and look at all these sources together, you see this really clear pattern emerge, right? On one side, you've got these humanly impossible problems. And on the other, you have this claim of a divine power that can overcome them. Death itself, the ultimate enemy, is held up as the ultimate proof of this power. So after that whole journey, what's the final takeaway? What we're looking at is a story that claims to echo from a single moment in history right into our lives today.
I mean, think about where we started. We began with that feeling of hitting a wall. We walked through this idea of preparation and surrender.
Then we witnessed this incredible, climatic event described as a cosmic earthquake. And finally, we saw how that event is meant to apply to our own modern-day struggles. It's a full circle, from feeling powerless to being empowered.
In the end, the sources we've looked at aren't just presenting historical facts, they're really extending a challenge. They're telling the story of a world-shaking event that they believe totally redefined what's possible. And they leave us with a question that really echoes through time. Can you still feel that tremor today?